Welcome to Practice Talk, a podcast for healthcare practitioners seeking business support, information, and connection. I'm your host, Jesse, and I'm thrilled to have you here today. Through my online programs and personalized guidance, I help practitioners and clinic owners from all over the globe achieve their goals and build successful, thriving practices. On this show, we will be interviewing inspiring professionals who have faced their own hurdles, have been able to overcome those hurdles, and continue their thriving practice journeys. On our solo cast episodes, we will be answering questions directly from our thriving practice community, so we make sure that we are covering topics that have direct meaning to you and your practice. Whether you are a seasoned practitioner or just starting out, Practice Talk is your go-to resource for knowledge, support, and building a community. Practice Talk starts now. Today on Practice Talk, we meet with acupuncturist Dr. Jessica Parker. Dr. Parker and I talk a lot about integrative medicine in this episode and bridging the gap between traditional and allopathic medicine. We also talk a little bit about having multiple clinics and what it's like managing and balancing work and life between those two. I hope you enjoy this episode of Practice Talk. Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for your patience and
Oh yeah,
flexibility
no
in all
problem.
this process.
Totally. Totally.
Oh man, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah. I'm kind of just trying to get back in the swing of it after a long weekend and it's
Yeah,
long summer. And so I'm like trying to get back into a work zone and all of
that
that.
makes sense. I know, and then
Yeah.
typically as a practitioner, schedules are a little bit busier because of the days off and
Right, right,
yeah.
totally.
Oh, thank you again for being here. Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Parker, why don't you start by telling me a little bit about your practice?
Sure. I'm an acupuncturist and a functional medicine doctor. I practice actually out of two locations in
Mhm.
California. I am in my main office that I started about almost 15 years ago is
Mhm.
out of Oakland, California.
Gotcha.
It's called Root and Stem Integrative
Mhm.
Chinese Medicine. Aside from me, I have a variety of other practitioners there that work, and they're all incredible acupuncturists and
Awesome.
herbalists there. And then I opened a second location just about 2 years ago in Nevada City,
Mhm.
which is in California. It's
Gotcha.
aside from the name, but
Yeah,
it's a smaller town up near the Sierra foothills.
cool.
And I have another practitioner here, Dr. Shoshi London, that works with me in this office.
Mhm.
And we focus on women's health, prenatal health, postpartum care. And I do a lot of hormonal support,
Mhm.
digestive support with my functional medicine background as well.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. I know I love the website. I love the information. I saw a lot of cool things on there. Like one too, I saw you're involved in the East Bay Integrative Pregnancy Project. I was kind of wondering just also is there a story behind the passion for that like prenatal and postnatal healthcare?
Yeah, absolutely. So the East Bay Integrative Pregnancy Project was founded in 2014
Mhm.
and really out of a need for more prenatal support for, people of all income levels. A
Yeah.
lot of people have, I guess it's changing, but
Mhm.
acupuncture itself has kind of been deemed sort of like a luxury service.
Yeah.
Most of it is out of pocket. Again, this is changing for the better, but many people don't have the insurance to cover something like acupuncture, which is incredible support for really anyone, but definitely
Yeah.
through pregnancy. It's safe. It's it can treat a variety of issues that most Western medicine can't treat. It's
Yeah.
great for stress management, pain. As the body is changing and expanding through pregnancy, it's really helpful for a lot of those structural issues. And again, just to help the body get into more of that parasympathetic relaxed state as women and pregnant people gear up for labor.
Yeah.
So the need really came from just that finding that a lot of people didn't have access to that kind of care through postpartum. I'm sorry, through pregnancy and into postpartum. And so we started that um, service out of a birth center in Oakland. And
Mhm.
through the pandemic over the last few years, we've kind of had to shift the space. We're now
Mm.
operating out of the Oakland office. But we've had some shifts and changes in our volunteer coordination and stuff like that, but we still do offer
Gotcha.
those services in Oakland. Yeah.
Nice. And that's super cool. I mean, and again, like I'm not an acupuncturist. I help acupuncturists and doctors and private
Hmm.
practices. Um, but I love learning about the practices, especially just thinking about medicine from a perspective I'd never thought of it before, right? Like during pregnancy, a lot of the body's organs are shifting, and you think about acupuncture as helping to move chi, helping to move energy, helping to get blood flow to areas so they can heal, and like just the things that can happen in a woman's body as she's
Hmm.
pregnant, the way that organs move, the way that things move, the way that the baby moves, and then post pregnancy too, and helping those organ processes kind of reach their like normal homeostasis after, yeah, because a lot of things can happen in the nervous system and in the
Hmm.
endocrine and hormone systems as those changes occur and then like unravel themselves as well. Yeah, so that's
Exactly.
super amazing support. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Dr.
That's a really
Parker,
good way to put it too,
yeah,
the way that you explained it. Yeah, that's exactly
yeah.
what.
So I mean, those were the thoughts going through my head when I was looking
Yeah.
at that and like looking through the East Bay Integrated Pregnancy Project, all that stuff. Super cool. How did you get into medicine? How did you become a healer?
Yeah, it's been a longer journey. I actually I went to a Quaker college,
Hmm.
based out of New York. And with that program, there was an opportunity to live abroad, and I moved to China, and I lived in Hangzhou, China for
Hmm.
my second year of college. And I had really didn't have a lot of experience with acupuncture, Eastern medicine. I've always been drawn to herbalism and
Hmm.
some of the more, I hate calling it alternative medicine because
Yeah,
honestly,
because
I
it's
think like,
really, yeah,
yeah, rotator cuff is
traditional.
like the
Yeah,
alternative, treatment, but or rotator cuff surgery, would be the
yeah,
alternative.
yeah.
Anyway, within that realm, I've been attracted to that and had taken some classes in herbalism and was interested in that. But then when I found myself in China, not treating myself very well as a college
Mm.
student, and I had a history, I just had like a really chronic lung condition and bronchitis, recurring bronchitis.
Well,
I found myself being treated with acupuncture and herbs at the hospitals, in the hospital there in Hangzhou, and was just really floored with the integration. Like it's Western medicine and the
mm.
Chinese medicine combined. You go to the pharmacy there, and it's this massive pharmacy of herbs and also
Wow.
the pharmaceutical counter together. It's just not separated.
Mm.
They're really synergistic in the way that they
That's
treat.
amazing.
And so that is what I've really found to be the best form of medicine, really integrating options and
Yeah.
wanting to kind of bring that back as have become a practitioner in the States, trying to bridge the gap of integration, supporting the body before it gets to the disease state with
Yeah.
with looking at labs from a functional medicine perspective. We're looking at the root cause, really trying to get to the deeper root rather than band-aid treatments with just
Hmm.
pharmaceuticals. And
Yeah.
sometimes there's a need for that too, but really
Yeah.
trying to dive into that integrative approach, getting to the root, getting to the bottom of the problem and working your way up. And then, being able to integrate, rather than just Western medicine is the only way to treat, issues. And so really trying to, embrace what I experienced in China and the hospitals there.
Wow.
And I'm hope that, I'm seeing a slow, movement towards that a little bit as we understand, Western medicine is limited in what it really can
Hmm.
do for healthcare. It's excellent disease management in some
Yeah.
ways, but it's not necessarily that actual healthcare. And so trying to bridge that gap, bringing in functional and Eastern medicine together, is really how I've, seen most people get a real path towards better health and all of that.
Yeah. I love your optimism and I love kind of the groundedness with the way you talk about Western versus Eastern medicine or like pharmaceutical and allopathic versus
Mhm.
traditional and natural. Like a lot of practitioners I talk to, they're really frustrated by the Western medical industry here and they probably haven't seen a
Mhm.
model that works. They haven't been to an area of the world of a model where they are integrated. And I sure haven't. And so hearing that experience is really awesome. Like just even just the visual of the pharmaceutical, the pharmacy where you have all of the options there. You like you go to a doctor and they might prescribe you acupuncture. Um,
Mhm.
like that just doesn't really happen here.
Mhm.
And I like having the thought that it's happening slowly over time as people get more educated and understand their options to relieve their symptoms. And also like the way you express that, yes, like there is a benefit to, trauma care
Mhm.
and to those responses, but then asking the questions first, are there things we can do to help the body heal itself, to support the body and healing itself before we go to rotator cuff surgery or before we like have invasive procedures into your body to do biopsies or whatever. So it's it's yeah, I think one, it's educating the people, like the patients, but also somehow like educating the Western model, like integrating into that system and saying like, we're not threatening your existence. We want to work with you. And I mean, to be fair to those doctors, they don't get that training in school either. They're not taught about acupuncture as a valid treatment option for patients and what that path might look like when they're referring out or when they're looking at the patient as a whole person. So that's such a cool experience. Like I wish could have like been a fly on the wall for that experience because I've never been to China.
Mhm.
I don't know what their medical system is like. And I saw, did you do any like residencies over there? Had you gotten into medicine and did a lot of your training there? I kind of saw. Is it
Yeah.
Zhejiang Medical
Zhejiang.
Hospital?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with my acupuncture master's program, I spent part of the summer at Zhejiang Hospital
Awesome.
in China. And that was an incredible opportunity to shadow and observe and, be basically like an acupuncture resident there
Yeah.
and, really seeing that model. And then with my doctorate program in probably, I think it was around 2016, 2015 or
Mhm.
2016, I had a pretty unique experience where they opened up Highland Hospital, which is in Oakland, California, to
Mhm.
acupuncture residents. And they had a
Oh,
program that
wow.
I'm not 100% sure if that program still is running, but um, so we were acupuncture residents at that hospital
Nice.
for a series of time for a series of months there. And that was another really eye-opening experience, kind of the opposite of my Chinese
Yeah.
experience. It was like, wow, we're really missing the mark on getting to root care disease, healthcare here.
Yeah.
And most of the residents there, many of my colleagues that are MDs and, in that kind of reality, they also recognize their limitations now. And I think that's
Mhm.
getting kind of, going back to why I am somewhat optimistic about this change. I mean, aside from the patients understanding, social media has actually been really helpful for that,
Yeah.
for them to
Yeah.
hear like, oh, wait, there are other ways of treating this hormonal issue. Where my Western doctor just said, sorry, that's perimenopause. You just have to deal with
Mm.
it. So social media, I think, has been beneficial in getting that exposure to people.
Yeah.
And I think doctors and Western medical doctors are understanding their limitations because they aren't trained in that. They really are
Yeah.
trained in disease management. They understand the body when it is already into that state that
Yeah.
needs that kind of intervention, but they're not trained in the early stages when the body is just not feeling well, but it doesn't necessarily show up on a blood test that it's unwell. And so that's where a lot of functional medicine and Eastern medicine is there. We're looking to get the body supported before it gets to that place. And if it is already in that disease state, we still have a lot to we can really support. If it does
Yeah.
mean we're working in conjunction with Western medicine at that point too. So yeah, I think there's a lot more education that's happening and an understanding that Western medicine is very limited in supporting the system with, you know, early stage hormonal issues, gut, diet. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have
Yeah.
gone to a gastroenterologist and spent so much on testing, and really they're not getting anywhere when we're
Exactly.
able to really work on that with Eastern medicine. It's incredibly effective. So, we're just trying to help bridge that gap.
Yeah. And it makes me think too, like the statistics throughout the world about wait times to get into doctors, to get into specialists, like 3 months,
Mhm.
6 months, sometimes 8, 12 months, just
Mhm.
to get that first initial consultation with a specialist or a specific doctor. It's a bottleneck in the system, and a lot of that like could be resolved if people had the education to know actually like let's look over here. If doctors are using that as a resource, it could relieve a lot of that pressure on the system
Mm,
without,
absolutely.
because right now they're like people just aren't able to get served, and
Mhm.
potentially to go somewhere, wait 8 months, still not have answers. That's 8 months that inflammation or that disease or disorder is happening in their body. It's
Mhm.
yeah, it's just not working. But I think the answer is it's not more medical doctors. The answer is right here. Like people are here
Mhm.
available to serve patients to start those processes. And if it was taken seriously in the insurance industry, if it was taken seriously like in the education process of patients and the referral processes, it could literally change our healthcare system.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. I mean, I think that's one of the problems right now is that I'm seeing less and less insurance covering, acupuncture where it has before because people are starting to really use those services
Yeah.
and it works, It is a system of a treatment modality that helps people feel better. And
Yeah.
the insurance industry really isn't in line with that, and that's not really their business model. So less and
Exactly.
less insurance is covering these services, even though um, again, it works for so
Yeah.
many people. So that is the
Yeah.
unfortunate side of it all.
It is. It is. And I understand capitalism and profits and all
Mhm.
of that. But also it just like it makes no sense. I've said this a few times on the podcast that a company who has nobody within the company who has taken the Hippocratic Oath can make policies
Mhm.
about what doctors are allowed to say is medically necessary.
Mhm.
It makes no sense that that's
Totally.
even legal.
It's so
Um,
true.
wow. So I mean, so you've been running your practices for quite a while. Like over that period of time, what have you found as have been the biggest struggles as a practice owner? With
Mhm.
just yeah, the the ins and outs of running a practice.
Yeah, I feel so lucky. I've always had an incredible team. Really the other practitioners that I've had over the years and who I have right now are awesome, and I feel really supported by them, and I feel like their services I feel lucky, and that has never been a real struggle for me. They
Mhm.
everyone that has come through the door as a practitioner has really offered a really incredible value of their services. So I'm really stoked on that. I really do at both locations. I just think the people that are working there are so rad.
Awesome.
And I mean, certainly the pandemic was like a wonky time for, a small business owner trying to kind of
Yeah.
in a brick and mortar in office healthcare business has been,
Hmm.
a little bit up and down, and we've seen some changes in the way that we've, developed our services and offering
Yeah.
more telehealth, which has also been an interesting thing for an acupuncturist to offer telehealth,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But we do have that, the ability to serve people remotely and, check in on their symptoms and check in
Mhm.
on their diet and lifestyle and herbs and whatever treatment plan we've developed through,
Nice.
a virtual lens. So we can do that. And that's been a kind of cool way to incorporate more services and getting that out there to people. But yeah, certainly I feel really lucky. Again, both locations, I'm really lucky where they're located and where they just in general, the people that I've been able to network with. And there's some, you know, I generally encourage people to have sort of a kitchen sink method of healthcare.
Hmm.
It's not just
Yeah.
one magic pill,
Yeah.
one magic supplement, one magic treatment. A lot of times it does incorporate, other modalities, seeing a chiropractor, seeing, other
Hmm.
types of specialists that are within a more holistic lens, including our services. So, I really encourage people to try to bring all of the pieces that they can together to have like a
Hmm.
healthcare team, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And I talk a lot too on this podcast about like multidisciplinary practices and just I think in our community, I'm always asking those questions of like, how do we incorporate and communicate better as practitioners? And yeah, how do we connect better with again, and how do we educate the Western medical system, the MDs, on how to refer to us and when it's appropriate to refer to us and how we can benefit them and their patients. I
Mhm.
think, yeah, and have you? uh, I guess in China, because I know you have this experience and it's just like racking my brain now. I'm like, I would love to see that model. Do they have a lot of private practices? And if so, like with your experience with those, do they communicate better between each other? If they do, like, I guess multi-stacked question, but yeah,
Yeah. My understanding and my experience is not really private practice isn't
gotcha.
specifically a thing. Now, granted, the last time I was in China was 2008, so it's been,
Hmm.
many, many years, but
Yeah,
I have no idea if that's changed at all at this point, but it was definitely an integrated thing that was offered in the hospitals,
yeah,
maybe some smaller branches of the hospital, but that was part of, the treatment. Like I remember walking into one facility where it was a hospital room, and there were like 25 people all getting, facial acupuncture at the time for Bell's
nice.
palsy. It was a Bell's palsy clinic. All these people
Yeah,
had Bell's palsy and they were all there and hanging out with each other and talking. And it was
nice.
quite a different experience that what we sort of have translated
Yeah,
that sort of system here in the States where we have mostly private practice, private sessions, you're getting, you're laying on the table in a room by yourself.
yeah.
Um, so that is quite different from my experience.
Mm,
If that's changed, that'd be cool too. But yeah, I mean, I think that it
yeah.
was
No, that'd be
awesome
interesting
that
to see.
it's a part of the system, it's a part of your healthcare, it's a part of the program of being in, that Eastern Chinese
Yeah.
medical healthcare system.
That's cool. That makes, yeah, I work mostly in the US and other English speaking countries. I speak a little bit of Spanish.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I'd love to branch into there eventually, but yeah, I just, you've like opened my mind to like, I want to know more about other countries' medical systems because you don't hear a lot about them, just like through the grapevine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's, there's a lot of there's other there I did not go to this clinic in Bali. I wish that I had, but I had a
Mm,
few colleagues of mine and it was a birthing center in Bali and acupuncturists could go there and just see tons and tons and tons of pregnant patients all
nice.
day long. They would be giving moxa and
Yeah.
helping with needling and I know that that was another clinic where it was like like a lot of people in an area, in a room, where they were treating in this more communal space. And it was great for students just graduating because you were really just getting so much experience all at once. And that was
Wow.
a really cool clinic. I heard a lot of good things about that. So I'm sure that there's tons of
Yeah.
stuff like that out there, in
Sweet.
other countries. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. And I was wondering too, uh, so you have this clinic in Oakland and then you've branched out to Nevada City. What are
Mhm.
your what's next? What's next for your clinic? What's next? Do you have any like a 5-year vision or like aspirations for your clinic?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I'm here to just help build up my team and get their
Mm.
practices off the ground, and really support them in, within the root and stem blanket of it all. I actually have just launched a series of courses for acupuncturists, and it's
Oh,
functional
sweet.
medicine for your acupuncture practice, and those are available on Teachable.
Uh-huh.
I'm in the process. There's 3 full courses, and it's the understanding how to read labs from the
Hmm.
functional and the Eastern medicine perspective, because I
I
feel
love
like
that.
that's a big part of my practice. I think looking at labs is such a fascinating way to look at the root cause. You're looking at the cellular structure of blood, and there's so many ways to analyze that using that terminology with Eastern medicine and the functional medicine concepts as well. And the first 3 courses are finished. I'm in the process of working on a hormonal panel.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that it's called the yin and yang of hormones, and that should be available hopefully by fall, by the end of
That's
fall.
amazing.
So yeah, that's my next big project. I'm really kind of trying to get those uh, out there and spruced up and offer that education for acupuncturists because I know that it's totally transformed my practice.
Wow.
Still completely honors the concepts and philosophy of Eastern medicine, but using a really simple blood draw and really helping people get to that root level, that deep molecular level of what's going
Yeah.
on for them. So
Wow.
that's the next
If
steps.
you wouldn't mind,
Mhm,
like after this, sending me an email with the link
mhm.
to your Teachable courses, I'll put that in the description of the podcast so that any guests and doctors listening to this can go check that out and have that link
Cool.
available. Yeah, that's such an awesome resource. Thank you for putting the time into doing that.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I've developed a course that's like a business course that's goes through all the aspects of business as if they were functions of the body. So it's like
Oh,
if the
cool.
body is the perfect example of a perfect business, right? Trillions of cells working together to complete one mission. Like there's no business that looks that perfect on Earth. So
Right,
if we
right.
could use the body and figure out, okay, well, what functions align with business to align with the body, like what is the liver in terms of a function of the business,
Mhm,
and so I break the program down like that. But I'm working on a program to help practitioners build their own courses based off of
mhm.
whatever knowledge they have, like extract their knowledge to build a course or write a book or whatever they want to do. So it's awesome that you've kind of already naturally done that, and it's not something that a lot of practitioners are doing, but there's so much knowledge like
Mhm.
within you that
Mhm.
to be able to offer that in your unique way is such a value to the medical community.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
cool that you would do that. I love the idea of breaking it down because really it is all holistic in the end,
Yeah.
the way that we can look at the inside of the body, outside of the body, the way that we manage relationships or manage
Yep.
business,
And
all
the
of that
external
is,
forces and internal forces.
totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's super cool. I'm really
Yeah.
interested in checking that out.
And I love learning about business. It just happened to be something that clicked in my mind. But I
Mhm,
know, I mean, growing up, I had a lot of health issues, which is how I found naturopathy and like just the
mhm,
alternative
mhm. Right.
medicine fields, and grew that respect for. And I kind of merged those as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life growing up. And so, yeah, for me, I love business, but I know that most practitioners don't, and they don't have a lot of that training in school. So it's for me,
Totally.
that's my calling, and what I feel my calling is to help people learn about business, help naturopaths, and help doctors of natural medicine learn about business in hopefully a way that's not tedious
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
boring or like yeah, just doesn't feel authentic.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's cool. I'm excited to kind of go peruse your program and check
Yeah,
out at least the
same.
descriptions and stuff. And
Same. Totally.
yeah, so as a doctor who's serving patients and running two locations, how do you find balance in your personal life? Like how do you find like what works for you in terms of like taking care of yourself, like managing like I
Mhm.
don't know family, friends, relationships, and being a entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'm still figuring that out,
Yeah.
but, it's always a work in progress. The Honestly, I my plan was to focus fully in one location and just be in the Nevada City location, and just the universe has changed its mind on me, and I am spread between the 2, and it's
Mhm.
working out. I'm finally finding a really good balance where
Nice.
I'm able to stay in Oakland for a few days, and then I have the rest of the week in Nevada City. I love both locations, both
Yeah.
places. Oakland is one of my most favorite cities ever. Nevada City
Mm.
is just absolutely incredible and beautiful as well. So my family is up here in Nevada
Mhm.
City, and just for a variety of things, I found myself, committed to working in Oakland a few days a week, which is,
Mhm.
as I mentioned, sorry to reiterate, but it's working out
Yeah,
now.
no. Yeah,
It
that's
took a
awesome.
minute. It took a minute to find that balance and figure out how I was going to make it work. But aside from that, I mean, I get acupuncture every week. I really think that it is so important. And when I don't, I slipped off
Mm.
through the summer. I realized a huge shift in how my body felt and how my stress level was. And I just think that it is powerful medicine to
Yeah.
tap into that parasympathetic mode. I tend to be a higher energetic person, and I can go,
Mhm.
go, 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 and I can easily burn myself out too. And so without having something to balance it out, I do really need to get some sort of support. I get
Yeah.
chiropractic, I get acupuncture. I really try to tap into
Perfect.
those modalities as every week. That has been something I really have found to be like my healing path. And so if I don't do that, things go awry. So I'm trying
Yeah.
to make sure I stay on that schedule. It makes a big difference for me.
I think that's phenomenal. And it's because those fight or flight, those hormones, those chemicals that we're releasing to like hyper focus to be able to sustain long periods of like whatever we're trying to do as quickly as we can, they're addictive. They're addictive. And
Hmm. Hmm.
if we don't come back, center ourselves, reset in whatever way we can, it's really easy to just get thrown down a path energetically, hormonally,
Hmm.
even for doctors, even for people that know the information, it's just so easy to get wrapped up in that because there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of outside forces saying, "I
Hmm.
need your time, I need your energy, you need to chart more, you need to put this one thing
Hmm.
in your practice. There's a crisis up here." So it's like centering yourself. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Reaching out to the support that you need to
Hmm.
reset and to yeah get back into that parasympathetic state. That's
Yep.
awesome. Thank you.
Totally. Totally.
Um, wow. So, obviously, I have one more question. If you have any questions for me, I'd love to hear them. But I want to know, for anyone listening to this podcast who's a new practitioner or trying to figure out their way through entrepreneurship, owning a practice, what is one piece of advice you would like to offer them that you've learned through your journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's so many pieces, I'm watching some of my newer colleagues kind of like get started, and I don't miss that time at all.
That's a lot.
It feels like you're kind of like crawling yourself out of a hole, and it's like you have to get business cards made and a logo and a website. There's all these things. And
Yeah.
I think that I'm starting a newer-ish practice too has made me remember some of that.
Hmm.
And I think that really personal one-on-one community interactions and networking is so key. I'm
Mm.
really trying to go back to that. We're so flooded with internet content and being a
Yeah.
influencer now or whatever, all these things as a practitioner and a small business owner. And all of that is great. And again, I think there's value to patients too, to be
Hmm.
able to give that information out there. But I'm really getting back into connecting with my community, connecting
Hmm.
with the other practitioners, going out to tea, taking people
Nice.
out, having one-on-one connections, and just starting to build that network is so huge for, I think, starting out. And really that lasts a lifetime. Some of the
Yeah.
initial networking events, even some like Chamber of Commerce networking events and that kind of stuff. I mean, I've have friends from 15 years ago that I met at a happy hour from the Chamber of Commerce in Oakland,
That's
and
awesome.
so I think that really building those one-on-one
Yeah.
connections that, no matter what the algorithm is doing on on social media, that really is extremely valuable to connect with people in your community.
Oh my gosh, it really is. And it can be so isolating to be a
Hmm.
practitioner. Even if you work around other doctors, everyone has their schedules. Really, it's just you and the patients. And especially if you're doing a lot of telemedicine and if you're doing a lot of
Right.
online stuff, it's
Right.
very isolating. So to build a
Totally.
community, not feel alone. And if you're a new practitioner, don't feel afraid to reach out to somebody that's been doing it for a long time because again, it
Totally.
doesn't matter how many years you've been in practice, it can be very isolating. So
Hmm.
it's not a bother. Maybe they're busy, maybe some of them won't have the time and want to, but a lot of people they do want to connect with the people in their industry
Absolutely.
that are doing similar things and that are wanting to, yeah, again, build those connections.
Yeah, I mean, I even get cold emails all the time from people, and I can't say that I was able to respond or connect with
Hmm.
every single person, but I get people that are new and just, hey, I saw your practice. I'm so interested. This is what I'm doing. We have like a similar connection and blah, blah, blah. And some of those have been, I appreciate that. I'm not like
Yeah.
annoyed by those emails personally. I think that's great and a great way to throw it out there, see who is happens to be available to reach back out and connect with you. And I think that's a good way to connect too. So yeah,
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being here and responding to our communications. I love connecting with
totally.
practitioners and my goal is to build a community. So you'll receive those invites as well with all the like the post podcast stuff.
I
Um
love it.
but yeah, yeah, I hope you join the community, and I'm always looking to just build a network of practitioners that can support each other, ask questions, learn about things that are going on in different parts of the world. Yeah, so it's been a pleasure. Do you have any other questions for me or any thoughts, comments?
Not yet. I'm so glad that you reached out to me too. Same, and I'm totally all about this kind of stuff and being able to, you're like you said, it can be isolating when we're just like behind a
Mhm.
computer the whole time. So having conversations is huge for all of our businesses. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome. Well, thanks for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for
You
being here. I hope
too.
everyone else listening enjoyed. Yeah.
Thanks so much for having me.
Practitioners, are you ready to elevate your practice to new heights? ThrivingPracticeCenter.com has an exciting offer just for you. Unlock your path to success with the Thriving Practice System, the ultimate business resource for practitioners. And here's the best part. Right now, you can access the first module of this program absolutely free. Discover a new formula, streamline your practice, and learn how to build the practice of your dreams faster than ever before. Head over to ThrivingPracticeCenter.com now and begin the journey to transform your practice.